Yeah, like Kaylee said, it's really great to see so many people here. I don't know if I would have been able to come out in this cold if I wasn't speaking, so this is really, really great to see everyone. So Ramiro Funez and I, of course, went to Bangladesh. And first of all, it was a very, very long journey getting there. 18-hour of flying time and then layovers and everything. But we got there even though our flight was late. And from the moment that we got off the plane and met the first comrades in the party to when we got back on the plane, we were just met with the most incredible kindness and hospitality and solidarity. And it was really, the comrades that made the trip so incredible. And so we went there because we went there for Socialist Party of Bangladesh and Socialist Student Front because we wanted to continue to strengthen our great relationship with them and learn lessons from them that we could take and bring back to our party in the United States. And just to clarify, Socialist Party of Bangladesh is like the mass party, and Socialist Student Front is the youth organization. And so it's very different, but it's a similar relationship to like Workers' World and FIST. Although Socialist Student Front is massive, and so we have a lot to learn there, so we can be like that. So to talk about some of our similarities with Socialist Party of Bangladesh, and I can really only talk about the similarities because I truly didn't find any political disagreements there, was first of all, they're Marxist-Leninists, as we are. And they make really great connections with mass movements and have similar tactics to us as well. They work really, really well with other parties. They're really, really caring about leftist unity, and they're not sectarian, and so they'll support the movements of other organizations, even if those tendencies might be hostile towards them. The role of women in the party was just incredible. The leadership that they had, the way that the women spoke, the respect that they got was truly great to see, because sometimes, sometimes things in the U.S. can be a little rough even, and I know things are really difficult on the outside for women in Bangladesh, as I'll get to later. Also, the party has a really good stand, as do we, in LGBTQ liberation, which was really, really great to see. And they do a lot in terms of solidarity work with the LGBTQ community. And it was really also great to see that, like us, they have total support and admiration for other socialist countries and worker states, such as Cuba and Democratic People's Republic of Korea. So before I go into sort of everything we did, I kind of need to talk about first the context of what was going on there, because we were going there in the midst of a whole lot of political instability. The leading party was called the Awami League, and they were, I guess, they was described to us as sort of their equivalent to the Democrats, and then we had the Bangladeshi Nationalist Party, which was sort of the equivalent to the Republicans. And so the Awami League was in power, and the BNP was creating a lot of violence and instability and hurting a lot of people. They called for a strike. And of course, for us, strikes mean, leaving work and going out in the streets. And for them, it was more about hurting innocent people and, throwing, Molotov cocktails into, public buses. And, and it was interesting because all this was going on and we never saw them. They were always in hiding, and they'd, maybe be hiding in the bushes, and, and we just heard about in the newspapers every day of all these places being attacked, some of which we were at the same day. And so it was, that was sort of looming over us the entire time. There was also, they also called, in addition to the strike, an embargo, which means doing the same thing they did to the buses, but just for passenger boats as well. And we did take a 10-hour overnight trip to Barisal, which luckily was safe. And, we always had that worry in the back of our mind, but honestly, I really wasn't that worried given the fact that we were with Socialist Party of Bangladesh, and they went, they did everything they possibly could to ensure our safety. And they just did an incredible job at making us feel safe, even given the instability that was going on, and making sure we knew everything was okay, even during the times that they were a little bit nervous too. So one thing I wanted to talk about was really the conditions and how they're different over there in terms of the way that people talk about politics. Over here, communism is like, talking about communism is like the Antichrist. It's it's a no-go in common society, mainstream society in the U.S. But in Bangladesh, communism is a common topic of conversation. You hear people talking about it every day, and not just people within the party. Because a lot of this comes out of necessity. Because when people are so impoverished and exploited, and they know damn well it's coming from U.S. imperialism, that they understand the connections between the horrible labor conditions and the sweatshops that companies like Walmart and Gap are making billions off of. And so due to that, and especially seeing all the rampant poverty, lack of housing, starvation, and many other things, people are realizing that communist revolution is the only permanent and effective way to combat that. And that's definitely something that we can take back to try to share with the masses here, because we know they need to hear that too. It was hard for both me and Ramiro seeing the conditions in which people were living. Everywhere we went, there was people, some of which were crying, like coming after us and just begging us for any type of money that we had, or when we were in cars, they'd run up and start banging on the windows. There was one woman, and she was holding, I guess, her mother in the street, and her mother was, clearly dying. And, she ran after our car, and she was just, like, begging us for anything that we could do. And, there was really, at the time, nothing we could do. And so seeing that, and it just really, it created a lot of anger in us, I think, that, we take back here, and we want to use that to fight even harder, because, when we're fighting like big corporations and capitalism, it has a whole new meaning when you see the people whose lives it's destroying. Another time, we were on our way to a boat, to get on the boat to Barisal, and there was this little boy, he must have been like 3 years old, and he was chasing after us, trying to ask us for money. And when he was running, he just fell and hit his face on the ground and was just like laying there crying. And that was, one of the hardest things to see, and just being there and feeling so hopeless to help individual people, but knowing that, fighting capitalism and imperialism it's the only thing we can do, and it's hard. So despite all of that, when you look at that, those are examples of reasons why, communism is not a dirty word, and people understand more or less that this is the solution here, and that overthrowing this like imperialist, capitalist, like evil force is the only way to liberate all of the people, not only here but around the world. So I want to talk a little bit about, kind of what went on there. We were originally invited to a conference for celebrating the 30 years of their party. And we had an international delegation consisting of Ramiro and I from the United States, and then someone from India and a couple people of Nepal. And we were told that this conference was going to have, I think they said, between 30 and 50,000 people showing up. But because of all of the violence and what was going on, they had, a lot of people weren't able to make it. So it ended up being, I'd say, like several hundred people. But nonetheless, it was really, really well. They got it videotaped. It was really effective, and it was great because we were sitting up there with the international delegation. We also had a representative from the DPRK Kim Il-sung Youth League, and he brought his message of solidarity. And that was, he was incredible. And so it was really great to be up there and to meet so many students who were there, who were able to show up and be there. And, everybody was just so nice. It was so nice to like shake everyone's hand. Everyone, they had to like shoo people away because they all just wanted to like run up and take pictures with us and, shake our hands. And, they were just so happy to be able to be there. Probably not as much as us, but they were really happy. So the conference went really well. Afterwards, we had a rally, and I'm going to be doing a slideshow to show you some of the pictures of what went on, so it'll make a little bit more sense. But one of the things we did that was probably one of the most meaningful things is we traveled to a lot of monuments for fallen martyrs of the Liberation War and the language movement to pay homage. And one of the traditions in Bangladesh is they really love flowers. And so, we're constantly given flowers as gifts. And when we went, it was really beautiful. And so when we went to these memorials, they had these beautiful flower arrangements. And, we'd put those, on the memorials and, give a red salute and have a moment of silence and then leave. We also saw the memorial of the site of the 2013 factory fire that killed over 1,000 Bangladeshi workers. And so it really, seeing it and driving by it was very, very, powerful because, you see like, wow, like this is an actual building here that, and just knowing the disgusting things that happen there and the fact that like the clothes we wear are like come from this terrible system of exploitation. The U.S. corporations do not care. The U.S. will fight for so-called human rights when doing so supports their objectives of capitalism and imperialism, but they turn a blind eye to devastating and horrendous events such as this factory fire, as well as the human rights of suffering workers in countries like Bangladesh because the U.S. profits from it. And so it was angering to like kind of see in the news the United States talking about things that they care about, and then meanwhile seeing things that they've done, and there's nothing. They don't say anything. I also want to add that as a result of this factory fire, these incredible Bangladeshi labor leaders have come together and they created a legal accord that would make corporations agree to factory safety upgrades. All it said was just factory safety upgrades in light of what's happened. And 150, and they didn't willingly sign this, like through a lot of pressure, 150 corporations signed on, and yet Walmart and Gap still refused to even sign it. And it says nothing about fair wages or safe working conditions. All it talks about is factory upgrades, so thousands of people don't get set on fire in these factories. And it just shows how much they care. They don't even pretend. It's really, really sick. And it's interesting talking about these factory fires. It brings me to a story that I had, something that happened when I was talking to somebody from the media. And, some of you know that I did a talk show in Bangladesh on one of their national TV channels, and I talked about Leninism from a student's perspective. And it led me to think that, well, okay, so maybe, 'cause that's nothing I would ever be able to do here. They'd shut that down before the camera turned on. But, excuse me. But so I was wondering about the role of the media, and I asked them, and they said, oh, no, they have to do this to make it look like they're, like, for the people. Because apparently, Lenin's actually talked about there, and people care about that. And so, and so it's something that they want to hear about. And so due to public pressure, the media will allow these things to happen. However, I got a rude awakening when I was speaking to a reporter from the media, and we were just having a regular conversation. I wasn't being interviewed or anything like that. And I was talking to one of the Socialist Party of Bangladesh leaders, and we were talking about how impoverished Bangladesh is. And this guy comes in and butts in, and he says, like, our country's doing fine. And he said, what did he say? He said, we, in terms of like low-income countries, we're right in the middle. We're basically at the middle of, the economic spectrum here. And he's citing facts from the World Bank and and the United Nations to talk about I just brought up, I said, well, what about the working conditions here? What about, because he said, no, we're doing so well because of all of the clothing factories, and that's what's really helping our country. And so I said, okay. I said, but what about this factory fire that killed over 1,000 workers? And he said, that was a mistake. That was just a mistake. And I was just horrified, and it really opened my eyes as to I didn't even know what to say to that, and the Socialist Party of Bangladesh leader was just like waiting for me to lose it, and I was just like keeping it cool, and I said I vehemently disagree, and that and that as someone who comes from the U.S., I understand what the motivations of our government and our corporations, which are pretty much synonymous, what they are, and that they don't want anything good for the people of Bangladesh. And, like I just said, they won't even sign on to an accord that would just require, for factories to have safety features, and probably minimal ones at that, because that was the best that they could get. So that's my rant about the media. One of the things we did was we traveled to a lot of different universities, and that was a really incredible experience. We went to each university, and we'd get a tour, and then we'd oftentimes speak at these meetings, which they called idea exchange sessions. And that was really incredible, which is where we'd go and we'd talk and we'd hear from the student leaders. And as a result of one of these idea exchange sessions, we decided that FIST and the Socialist Student Front will jointly hold a International Day of Student Rights, where we're going to come together and fight capitalism and imperialism in the ways that they affect education. And so that's something that we're trying to do internationally. And I think I'm really excited about that, and so we're going to continue to work with them on that, and hopefully even reach out to other student organizations. I mean, I'm sure the Kim Il-sung Youth League would sign on, obviously. And, there's so many great student organizations all around the world that I think we could do this and have like a mass student walkout, possibly. And so I'm not sure what it would look like. It could be a walkout, it could be something else, but it's something that we're really excited about, and it's in the works. So, and the date is TBA, but, we'll keep y'all posted. As we were going through the universities, it was amazing to see all of the art programs that they had. They had these beautiful sculpture making classes. Another time we were walking by, and Ramiro and I heard the screaming coming from upstairs, like people were fighting. And they said, oh no, that's just their drama class. So we went up and we checked it out. And they put on a whole performance for us, and it was these 3 actors, and it was actually a reenactment of the Abu Ghraib prison and what was going on there. But it just shows how conscious students are, and this is what they're doing. This is what they spend their time doing, is doing plays about this and paying homage to the people who are just tortured, and and spreading awareness about that. And I think that that's really, really incredible. And it's just the student movements there they're just amazing. I mean, you'll go onto the public universities, and you'll see huge murals of Che. That's a really common occurrence. Or, they call it wall writing. And that's one of the things that Socialist Student Front was really good at, was wall writing. And they'd have these beautiful murals, not only at the universities, but on the streets, publicizing their events and talking. And I have actually some really cool wall writing that I'll show in the slideshow. So that was, it was really incredible. And then we visited another university, and in order to get there, that was in Barisal, which is on the other side of Bangladesh, and we had to take a 10-hour overnight boat ride to get there. And it was, it was amazing. There were so many people on that boat, but it was just, the views were beautiful, just seeing the sunrise and seeing everything was just gorgeous. And it was really good to have a time, because 10 hours is a long time and you sleep, but you also have a lot of time to talk to and connect with other students. And, I learned a whole lot from them that I'll be talking about in a moment. So in talking to the students, and through these idea exchange sessions, we talked a lot about the common struggles between what students are fighting in Bangladesh and what we're fighting here, and they're pretty much identical. You know, they're fighting against cuts to education. They want free education the same way we do. You know, we believe that education is a human right. You know, they're finding that they're having militarization of their schools as well, the same way we are, and that's a huge issue. And the commercialization of education is a huge problem. And the way that, you know, despite what the students are trying to do, from their acting classes to their wall writing, a lot of the schools are trying to push a very ideologically capitalist agenda, and that's something that they're really trying to fight hard. They're also fighting fundamentalism, the same way that we fight, you know, Christian fundamentalism in schools. And there's, you know, we went to a rally that was led by Muslim students against fundamentalism in the schools, and teaching things that aren't that they didn't view as scientific. And so that was another huge thing. And then I guess the last thing that I want to talk about that we really had in common was the treatment of teachers, and how it's equally important to us as well as them that our teachers are paid well and treated with dignity and respect, because, you know, without that, you know, what can we ask for? You know, that's what we need for good education. As I mentioned earlier, the women played an incredible role in leadership in Bangladesh. I want to talk about a specific story I heard about that was really important. There's an organization called the Bangladesh Chantra League, and they're basically the student front of the Awami League, which is the ruling party. They're known for violence towards students, especially leftist students. And they're terrible. They're known for sexual assault, rape. I mean, it's just incredible. So they found out that there was a student on campus. He was having a cocktail party to celebrate that he had just completed the rape of his 100th victim. He'd raped 100 women. And he was having a public cocktail party about this on campus to celebrate. And the school apparently had no problem with it, you know, enjoy your drinks. And so the Socialist Student Front members at the university, and this was a campaign led by the women in the Socialist Student Front of that university, they fought hard. They basically raised a revolution in their own student government, and eventually won, and that man got expelled, and they got him out. Which doesn't seem like a lot here, because that, you know, but there it was a huge, huge victory, and one that took a lot of struggle. And I asked them, I said, so did he get prosecuted? And they said, of course not. They said, no, actually the Awami League, they helped him escape to Portugal, where he now resides, and he studies there now. So they transferred him overseas so that he could have a good old time over there. So, excuse me. So that just shows kind of like the lack of justice for women, the same way that we have, you know, that it's really hard to get justice for women here in the United States as well. So from spending a lot of time with the Socialist Student Front, we learned, you know, an enormous amount of things that we can use to better our party here in the way that we do things. One thing we realized was the real importance of having a really strong, solid internal structure that I think is something that we'll definitely be applying to FIST in our own work. And also the necessity of youth organizations to build strong bases at university, because we really need to revive the student movement in the United States. Seeing the potential by going to Bangladesh and seeing that like what we can accomplish, you know, is amazing. Like myself, I go to a university, but I've always been afraid of creating like a student, you know, club around FIST, because it just seems like such a hostile environment, and I feel like it wouldn't go anywhere. But I realized there the importance of just pushing past that, and there's got to be someone, you know, who it's going to reach, and who's going to want to get involved. And so that's a really big thing I think we need to push coming back is the role of student movements at the universities. That's a huge one. Excuse me, still coming over something I got from there. So I guess to conclude this, I just want to talk about things that we can do, because that was my biggest question, was what we can do to support the struggle for students in Bangladesh. And I actually talked to a young organizer with Socialist Student Front from Barisal named Shohan Ahmed, and he said that he feels like he really needs that Socialist Student Front really needs our unwavering support as really like the vanguard student party in Bangladesh, because there's a lot of competing ideologies, and you know, and sometimes, you know, as they work with everyone, there's some that are very like hostile and sectarian, and I think it's really important to show our support to them. And you know, I truly believe, and Ramiro has said the same, that they're going to be the ones that are going to lead this revolution when it comes. I mean, they're just so incredible. Their organization is incredible in terms of the way they organize, and they, you know, they're just incredibly hardworking and resilient revolutionaries. And he also said, like, the basic needs of the people of Bangladesh need to be met. And due to capitalism and corruption, that's not happening. And so the people of Bangladesh are fighting back. And he wants us to pay very close attention in the news. And because it's hard to find, you know, English language news, but there are places to find it. And I'll find links for everyone. But really to follow that so that we can continue to put out messages of solidarity with what's going on with them and make sure people are aware. Because that's really important in our partnership with that party. Another really important thing we can do is support the labor movement in Bangladesh by putting pressure on U.S. retail giants, you know, such as Gap and Walmart, like I mentioned before, to provide fair wages and safe working conditions, in addition to our support for their revolutionary goals. And of course, we're going to follow up with them on the International Day of Education. And the last thing is the importance of just adding them on social media and following their struggles. You can just add them. It's Socialist Party of Bangladesh on Facebook. That's their page, and you can just like it and subscribe, and you can kind of see what they're doing. And so that's what I have. I just want to say overall, it was amazing despite all the craziness, and you know, they were some of the most amazing, kind people I've ever met, and I'm really, really proud to have been able to be part of a delegation that went there and spent time with them. So I have a PowerPoint here to show a few pictures of what I'm talking about, because, you know, it makes more sense that way. So the first thing is the sun. It was the first thing we saw when we got there. Yes, is it in your way? Here, I'll move it over here. And not only is it, you know, that's where the flag comes from, the big red circle. That not only stands for the sun, but it also stands for the blood of the martyrs who died in the liberation struggle against Pakistan. And so the green part of the flag, and you can't see it here because of the time of day, but it's all the greenery that you have around the sun. And it's really, I've never seen it so beautifully. I've been around the world. I've never seen such a beautiful view of the sun as I did in Bangladesh. Can you do the next one? So this was their conference promotional poster for the conference that we had in Dhaka. And you can see they have fists there. And somewhere in there they have Ramiro and my names in Bengali. And I wish I could show you where it was. But this is the promotional poster. And they had this all over the city.
Colleen?
Yes.
Can we turn the mic so the mic is not in front of the...
Oh, is it still in front of it? Sure.
On this side of it. Is this good? Okay, can you see it?
I can see it, yeah. Yeah, I can see it. Okay. You can go on the next one. Yeah, so this was the delegation, the international delegation for the conference in Dhaka. And so there's Ramiro and I, and then that man there, he's the representative from DPRK, and then we have Gopal Krishna from Nepal, and then in addition we had Sancheta, who was from India, although she wasn't in the picture, but she was another leading member of the international delegation. Yeah. Okay. So I mentioned we had a march through Dhaka after the talk, and that was it. And we had this huge, beautiful banner. And there's this here is one of their logos with the 3 stars and the fist, and this means 30 for the 30-year anniversary. So that was a really, really successful rally. And then the next slide, they had our March Against Capitalism banner that we made here in this office. And and they were marching with that as well. They loved that banner so much. I think they wanted to keep it. And we have the next one. So this one we had, and this was a rally that we participated in, and it was a rally against fundamentalism and terrorism, and it was led by a really, really prominent Muslim revolutionary who's has very, very close ties with the Socialist Party of Bangladesh, and we had candles that we lit for the victims of some of the terrorism that had gone on in Bangladesh. So this is the Socialist Student Front main office in Dhaka, and this is their bookshelf, and then above it you have the revolutionary portraits of the revolutionaries that they really look up to, and that they really they focus on reading and studying. And so I wanted to make sure I put that up, because that just, when I saw that, I was just smiling ear to ear. So this is Shuk Mujibar Rahman, and this is a bust of him in the office as well, and he was one of the heroes from the liberation struggle. So this is what I was talking about with the memorial flowers. This one was for the Liberation War, and we all came together and we placed this at the monument and paid homage to the comrades who had died. And this is a picture of the big monument where we had done that from far away. And there's a close-up of the writing. It says, "Homage to the martyrs of the Liberation War, Anisor Fist," and then the other two, SSF. And this is great. It goes without saying, this is the Honduran flag that Ramiro had brought, and that's Ramiro and I and a leading comrade with Socialist Party of Bangladesh. And this just illustrates as well, like, the crucial need for international solidarity and the need for us to all connect across borders. And this is the gravesite of Qazi Nazrul Islam, who was the national poet of Bangladesh, who died, and we actually went there as well and placed flowers at his grave. And we went there and paid homage to the martyrs of the language movement, and there was this huge struggle after the liberation of Bangladesh from Pakistan for them to be able to have Bengali as their official language instead of Urdu. And so ultimately they won, but at the cost of a whole lot of innocent lives. And so they have a whole monument dedicated to those people. And so I didn't get any good pictures of the boat, which I really regret, but this is what I have of that. And so this is Ramiro and Masuk on the boat, and this was the boat we took to Barisal that we took over all those hours. And so this is in Barisal, and this is a little ceremony we had where, they raised the flag and sang the national anthem, and it was a really nice ceremony before we went in and spoke. And these are just some of the students at the Eden Mohila College in Dhaka, and this is actually a women's college. And so the organizing is really incredible, and they organize specifically around a lot of women's issues. This is the Jahangirnagar University students. I still can't pronounce it very well, sorry. But, and they were really incredible. They were the ones who were doing the incredible artwork and the drama and all of that. And this is the wall writing that I was talking about. I love this so much. It says, we are students, not customers. And that's an example of what I'm talking about. This is in broad daylight, right on the wall of their university, and it's still there, and they didn't get expelled for putting it there. I mean, it's really beautiful, and so this is what I'm talking about reviving the student movement in the U.S. Like, this is things that we can do. Maybe not in broad daylight, but these are things that we can do and make it known that, we're here and we believe in education rights, and we're, and that we're going to fight this together. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the rickshaw workers in Dhaka, because that was something that we saw a lot of. You can actually go to the next slide and you can see. So they work so hard. I mean, they work up to 12 hours a day, and they ride the rickshaws and ride people around. It's like almost like a taxi service, but they work for ridiculously low wages, and so they return their vehicles to the depot over there, which they pay a lot of rent on, and so they make very, very low pay. And a lot of the rickshaw workers I saw, a lot of them had disabilities that were oftentimes caused by that work. There are people who weren't even capable of walking, but somehow figured out through all the pain to be able to ride these bikes for their own survival. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird segue. I'm sorry. So this is Comrade Ramiro, and the reason I have this picture is because he was a rock star in Bangladesh. He not only was able, by the time he left, to be able to do all of their chants in Bengali, but he also was able to eat with his hands. And that was I tried to do it for one meal, and then I was like, I hadn't had enough. And he still eats with his hands. And so, yeah, and that was like, he did an incredible job with, with being able to kind of like assimilate and join into the culture there, like linguistically, and then also being able to eat and do all these things. So I really like that picture, so I just had to put it in there. Sorry. All right. And there's a good picture of him as his consolation prize. We always had that fist flag up. And the students really loved that flag, and they'd always want to take pictures with us with that flag. And that is the flag of the Socialist Party of Bangladesh. And that's all I have, and we'll have a question and answer session, I assume, at the end. But thank you all so much. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you. I just wanted to take this as an opportunity to thank everybody, to thank all the incredible comrades in Bangladesh. I mean, I've never seen such hospitality. Like, I'd be eating, and instead of eating with me, they'd be spooning more food onto my plate as I finished eating, because they always wanted to make sure that we were comfortable and we had everything we needed. And they were just incredible, and their leadership was amazing. And I also want to thank all the comrades here who made this trip possible, especially Sarah Flounders. I had so much trouble getting to Bangladesh. I had to send my passport to Ramiro in order to get my visa, and it got lost in the mail. And so I lost my passport less than a week before the trip was supposed to go, and I thought there was no way. And if it wasn't for Sarah, it probably wouldn't have happened. But you've worked tirelessly, and I just want to thank you so much for all that you've done. So thanks, everybody.
So thank you, everyone, again. I just want to say, just remember to, if you can, like the Socialist Party of Bangladesh on Facebook. Everyone's on Facebook. Facebook, I'm convinced, is going to, in the history books, in the future communist society, when we look back at capitalism, we're going to look at Facebook as really one of the interesting organizing tools. It sounds silly, but it really is a big tool that they're using. So if you get a chance, like them on Facebook. They're all online. They know about everything that's going on in the U.S. They knew about Mike Brown by name. They knew Eric Garner by name. They knew about Ferguson. They asked us a million times about Occupy. They asked us a million times about all of the struggles going on here. So the world is coming together. The socialism is being constructed. And to answer a question that was asked before in terms of the factory workers and the families, I'm not really too sure about the role of the Bangladeshi immigrants here in the U.S. in terms of remittances and the reparations for the relatives back. But one thing that a lot of comrades in Bangladesh told me is that one of the issues a lot of people experience, and it doesn't just happen with people from Bangladesh, is that sometimes relatives come here, people from Bangladesh come here, and then they try to forget about what happens in Bangladesh. It's something my family has done. It's something a lot of families have done. A lot of people from you know, so-called third world countries. But that is an issue. You know, there are people, you know, there are people from oppressed nationalities that come here and they just want to forget about everything and assimilate. And you know, it's our goal to do the opposite and to you know, to raise that interest again in what's going on, because it's the very reason that they're here to begin with. So I'm not too sure about, you know, what the role of the Bangladeshi immigrants here is in terms of that, but I think that, you know, as a party, as the IAC and etc., I think that we definitely should endeavor upon to get closer ties with the Bangladeshi community here. They're so revolutionary. And you know, when you meet people who are petty bourgeois or right wing in Bangladesh, they just get laughed at because everyone knows capitalism is horrible. You know, there's literally people dying in the streets. There's no, you know, going around it. Everyone knows that capitalism sucks. So, you know, just do your best to, if you know anyone from Bangladesh, and a worker, you know, people here, just, you know, bring them around and, you know, let's start talking, you know. Let's start talking about what we can do. So, thank you.